Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy daily stories about cheating, revenge, and relationship advice. The day began like any other. I woke to the familiar sound of my alarm buzzing beside the bed, the rhythmic beep a harsh reminder that another day awaited me. I slid out from under the covers, careful not to wake Emma. Her side of the bed was already empty, a silent testament to her restless nights, or perhaps her mornings with Michael. I shuffled through my morning routine, my thoughts on the usual daily grind, meetings, deadlines, the ever-present challenge of balancing work and family. As I left for work, I kissed Sophia and Ben on their foreheads, their small bodies nestled beneath the blankets. They were still deep in sleep, innocent to the storm brewing just beyond their bedroom door. The office was a haven of normalcy amidst the chaos of my personal life. I buried myself in work, finding solace in the familiarity of spreadsheets and emails. But as the afternoon sun dipped toward the horizon, I felt an odd pull to head home early. Maybe it was intuition, or maybe it was the exhaustion from holding up a brave face that led me to this decision. The house was too quiet when I arrived. Emma's car was parked in the driveway, but she was nowhere to be seen. I called out for her, my voice echoing emptily through the halls. "Emma? You here?" No answer. My footsteps were the only sound as I climbed the stairs, the weight of the day pressing heavily on my shoulders. I reached our bedroom door, a soft murmur of voices emanating from within. My heart began to pound, a primal alarm ringing louder than any rational thought. I hesitated for a moment, then pushed the door open. The sight before me felt like it was happening in slow motion. There was Emma, entwined with Michael, their bodies close, their faces lit up with expressions I hadn't seen on Emma in years. Michael's military tattoos were visible in the dim light, a stark reminder of his past, of the history they shared. Emma looked up, her eyes wide with shock. Michael, too, seemed frozen. There was a heartbeat of silence, and then, Emma's voice broke it, strained and shaky. "John. I didn't think you'd come home so early." I stood there, the gravity of the moment sinking in. My heart was a lead weight in my chest. "No. And what was your plan if I had?" "To carry on like everything was normal." Emma sat up, trying to cover herself with the sheets, her face flushed with a mixture of guilt and defiance. "This isn't what it looks like." I felt a hollow laugh rise in my throat. "Really? Because it looks exactly like what I feared most." I took a step back, feeling the room spin around me. "I guess I should have suspected something when you started working late, when you became so distant." Michael finally spoke, his voice steady but laced with an edge of defensiveness. "John, we didn't plan this. It just happened, did it?" I shot back, my voice breaking. "Did it just happen when you came back from your military career, or was this something that had been brewing for a while?" Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't move toward me. "John, No," I interrupted, my voice firm. "I don't want to hear excuses. This isn't about us anymore. It's about the kids." I turned on my heel, walking out of the room, feeling as if I were moving through a fog. The house that had once been a symbol of comfort now felt like a prison. I descended the stairs with a mechanical sense of purpose, the anger and betrayal burning hot in my veins. I needed air. I needed to clear my head. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside, the cool evening breeze hitting my face like a splash of cold water. In the quiet of the street, I leaned against my car, my breath coming out in ragged gasps. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Emma, calling, but I ignored it. I didn't want to hear her voice, not right now. I glanced back at the house, the one that had been our home for so many years. The realization hit me with a dull ache. I had to figure out the next steps. My marriage was over, and I had to prepare for the fallout. But most importantly, I needed to focus on what mattered most, Sophia and Ben. I decided then and there that I would face this head-on. I would file for divorce, not out of spite but out of necessity. Emma had made her choice, and now I had to make mine. For the sake of our children, I would ensure that their education and future were protected. That was the one thing I could control in the midst of this chaos. With a heavy heart and a resolute mind, I turned away from the house, ready to confront the reality of what lay ahead. The decision to file for divorce was both a relief and a torment. It was a straightforward process on paper but felt like an endless labyrinth in reality. As the days passed, I navigated through the paperwork with a sense of detachment. It was like going through the motions of a tragic play where I was merely an observer. Sitting at the kitchen table, I spread out the divorce papers before me. The documents were a blur of legal jargon, but I managed to make sense of them with a grim determination. Emma had already moved in with Michael, leaving the house sparsely furnished and eerily quiet. The only sounds were the occasional rustle of papers and the distant chatter of the television. The most challenging part was preparing to talk to Sophia and Ben. I knew I couldn't shield them from the truth. They deserved to know what was happening, even if the reality was too harsh for their young minds to fully grasp. I decided to tell them one evening after dinner. We gathered in the living room, the familiar space now feeling like a stage set for an uncomfortable revelation. Sophia sat on the edge of the couch, her eyes fixed on me with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Ben fidgeted with his toy truck, his concentration broken by the tense atmosphere. "Kids," I began, my voice steady but softer than I intended. "There's something important we need to talk about." Sophia looked up, her brow furrowing. "Is everything okay, Dad?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "No, sweetheart. It's not okay. Mom and we're getting a divorce." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Sophia's eyes widened, and her mouth opened slightly, as if she were trying to process the information. Ben looked up, confusion written all over his small face. "What's a divorce?" he asked, his voice innocent and uncertain. "It means that Mom and Dad won't be living together anymore," I explained gently. "We'll still be your parents, and we'll always love you. But things are going to change. We're going to have two homes now." Sophia's face crumpled as she struggled to hold back tears. "But why, Dad? Why is this happening?" I glanced at her, feeling the weight of her pain. "Sometimes, grown-ups don't get along, and they can't live together anymore. Mom and I tried, but it didn't work out. We both still care about you very much, and that's not going to change." Ben's lower lip quivered. "Does this mean we won't see Mom anymore?" "No, buddy," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "You'll see her. You'll stay with her sometimes and stay with me other times. We'll make sure you're happy and taken care of." Sophia wiped away a tear, trying to be brave. "So, we're moving to a new house." "Yes," I said, nodding. "I found a new place for us. It's not as big as the old house, but it's cozy and nice." Ben looked at me with wide eyes. "Will it have a backyard? Can we still have our toys there?" "It does have a small backyard," I said, managing a faint smile. "And yes, we can bring your toys." The conversation didn't make the situation any easier, but it was a start. I knew that adjusting to the new reality would take time. As the evening drew to a close, I could see that the kids were trying to come to terms with the change. They were strong, but their resilience was hard to witness. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings, moving logistics, and trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy for Sophia and Ben. Emma and I quickly reached a settlement on the divorce terms. She was in a hurry to move forward with her life, which made things easier on my end, though it felt like another cut in the already wounded heart. The day I went to the courthouse to finalize the paperwork, I felt a strange mix of finality and relief. I signed the documents with a heavy hand, each stroke of the pen feeling like a confirmation of the end of an era. Later that day, as I sat in my new apartment, the emptiness of the space felt symbolic of the emptiness I felt inside. Maria, who had become a comforting presence in my life, came over to help me settle in. She noticed my somber mood immediately. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft and full of concern. I nodded, though it was a half-truth. "Yeah. Just adjusting. Maria helped me unpack, her presence a quiet comfort amidst the chaos. We talked about everything and nothing, work, the kids, trivial things that made me forget, if only for a little while, the weight of the changes in my life. As the evening wore on, Maria's company made the loneliness of the apartment a bit more bearable. It was clear that moving on wasn't something that would happen overnight. But for now, I had to focus on building this new life, one step at a time. Despite the heartache and upheaval, I found solace in the small victories, the kids adjusting to their new routines, the apartment slowly feeling like home, and the tentative beginnings of a new relationship with Maria. In this new chapter of my life, the past might linger, but the future was something I had to shape with the hope and determination that I could still make things right for my family. The first week at my new job was a whirlwind of new faces, unfamiliar routines, and a constant battle to stay afloat amidst the sea of deadlines and tasks. The advertising firm where I had landed was bustling with energy, a sharp contrast to the staid monotony of my previous job. Every day presented a new challenge, and while the workload was daunting, it was a welcome distraction from the turmoil of my personal life. I arrived at the office early, eager to establish a routine and prove myself. My new desk was in a corner of an open-plan space, surrounded by colleagues who chatted animatedly and clacked away at their keyboards. The dynamic atmosphere was both invigorating and overwhelming. I threw myself into work with a single-minded focus, hoping that immersing myself in tasks would numb the emotional pain I was grappling with. Maria, one of my colleagues, was a constant, pleasant presence amidst the chaos. She was warm and approachable, with a knack for making everyone feel at ease. Our conversations, initially work-related, soon branched out into more personal territory. Her easy smile and gentle demeanor were a balm to my wounded spirit. One afternoon, as we were taking a break in the office kitchen, Maria handed me a cup of coffee. "You look like you're running on fumes," she said with a concerned look. "You've been working non-stop. Are you okay?" I accepted the coffee gratefully. "I'm just trying to keep busy," I said, trying to sound casual. "The new job is a lot, but it's a good distraction." Maria nodded, her eyes showing empathy. "I get it. Starting over can be tough. But remember to take care of yourself, too. You don't have to do it all alone." Her kindness was a small but meaningful comfort. As the days went on, our conversations grew more personal. We started sharing stories about our lives, our hopes, and our dreams. Maria's presence became a source of solace in the midst of my upheaval. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, Maria and I decided to grab dinner together. We went to a cozy little bistro nearby, the kind of place that had an inviting warmth and a comforting menu. Over plates of pasta and glasses of red wine, we talked more freely than we had before. "You know," Maria said, stirring her pasta thoughtfully, "I've noticed how hard you're working. It's like you're trying to bury yourself in work." I looked down at my plate, feeling a pang of vulnerability. "It's easier that way. When I'm busy, I don't have to think about everything else." Maria reached across the table, placing her hand over mine. "It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's a huge change, and it's normal to be overwhelmed." I met her gaze, feeling a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time, hope. "Thanks, Maria. I really appreciate you being here for me." She smiled gently. "I'm glad I can be here. It's important to have someone to lean on, especially when you're starting over." As the weeks passed, I began to feel a semblance of normalcy. My new apartment slowly transformed from a stark, empty space into a cozy refuge. The walls were adorned with pictures of Sophia and Ben, and I made sure to keep their favorite toys and books within reach. It was becoming a home, albeit a new and different one. On weekends, I took Sophia and Ben to the new place. They were adjusting better than I had hoped. We spent time exploring the small backyard, setting up a swing set and planting a few flowers. The apartment, though smaller than our old house, had a charm of its own. It was theirs just as much as it was mine. One Saturday afternoon, while we were working in the backyard, Sophia asked, "Dad, do you like the new house? I wiped sweat from my brow and smiled. I do. It's different from the old one, but I think it's starting to feel like home. Ben ran over, clutching a small plastic shovel. Can we plant more flowers? I want to help make it pretty. Of course, I said, ruffling his hair. Let's make this place as beautiful as we can. It was moments like these, simple and genuine, that reminded me of why I was pushing through the hardship. My focus was on creating a stable environment for the kids, ensuring they felt secure and loved despite the changes. Meanwhile, Maria and I continued to grow closer. Our relationship, initially forged in the crucible of shared work and emotional support, began to blossom into something more. We went on more dates, spent weekends together, and found joy in each other's company. It wasn't a replacement for what I had with Emma, but it was a new beginning, a chance to heal and to explore the possibility of a different kind of happiness. One evening, after a particularly lovely day spent with Maria, I found myself reflecting on the past few months. The journey had been arduous, but it was leading me toward a future I hadn't anticipated. The pain was still there, but it was now mingling with the beginnings of something hopeful. As I lay in bed, the soft hum of the city outside my window, I realized that I was slowly piecing together a new life. It wasn't perfect, and it was still in progress, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was moving forward. The fundraiser was meant to be a simple networking opportunity. Maria had suggested we attend to meet some of her contacts and unwind a bit. I agreed, hoping it would be a distraction from the emotional roller coaster of the past few months. The event was held at an elegant downtown venue, a spacious ballroom with high ceilings, tastefully decorated with twinkling lights and elegant floral arrangements. Soft jazz music played in the background, and waiters glided through the crowd with trays of hors d'oeuvres and champagne. It was a far cry from the cluttered chaos of my new apartment. Maria and I mingled with the guests, chatting about work and exchanging pleasantries. It was a nice change of pace, and Maria's presence made the evening more enjoyable. We were midway through our second glass of champagne when I spotted a familiar face across the room. Emma. She was standing with Michael, deep in conversation with a group of well-dressed people. Emma looked more radiant than I had seen her in months, a striking contrast to the stress and weariness that had marked the final days of our marriage. Michael stood beside her, looking just as comfortable, his arm casually resting at the small of her back. My heart sank as I recognized them. I tried to steady my breath, feeling a rush of old wounds reopening. The sight of them together was a painful reminder of everything I had lost. Maria noticed my distraction and followed my gaze. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I forced a smile, though it felt more like a grimace. "Yeah, just seeing some familiar faces." Maria's eyes darted to where I was looking. Her expression softened. "Do you want to talk to them?" I shook my head, feeling a tight knot in my chest. "No, it's okay. I'm not sure I'm ready for that." Maria nodded understandingly. "Let's just enjoy the evening. We don't have to approach them if you don't want to." We continued to mingle, but I found it increasingly difficult to focus on the conversations around me. My thoughts kept drifting back to Emma and Michael. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing the raw, painful reality of our separation. Eventually, as the evening wore on, Emma and Michael made their way around the room, their group slowly disbanding. Emma caught my eye from across the room. Her face showed a flicker of recognition, followed by a guarded expression. I took a deep breath and decided to face them. I owed it to myself to confront this head-on. Maria, sensing my resolve, squeezed my hand reassuringly. As I approached, Emma's smile faltered. "John," she said, her voice a mix of surprise and awkwardness. "I didn't expect to see you here." I nodded, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Yeah, I'm here with Maria. Just thought I'd come out for a change of pace." Michael stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "John. It's been a while," I offered a curt nod. "Michael." The silence between us was thick and uncomfortable. Maria, ever perceptive, broke the silence with a warm smile. "Hi, I'm Maria. It's nice to meet you both." Emma's demeanor softened slightly as she introduced herself. "Nice to meet you, Maria. I hope you're enjoying the event." "We are," Maria replied smoothly. "It's been a great evening." Emma glanced between Maria and me, an awkward tension hanging in the air. "I guess we're all moving forward in different ways." I could sense the bitterness in her words, but I chose to let it slide. "Yes, I suppose we are." There was an uneasy pause. Emma looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of regret and resignation. "John, I didn't want this to be uncomfortable." I sighed, feeling a pang of sadness. "It's not really about comfort, Emma. It's about acceptance. We've both made choices, and now we have to live with them." Michael placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, a subtle gesture of solidarity. "We should probably let you get back to your evening." Emma nodded, her gaze lingering on me for a moment longer before she turned to leave. "I hope you're doing well, John." I watched them walk away, a swirl of emotions churning inside me. The encounter had been both painful and liberating. Seeing Emma and Michael together was a stark reminder of the past, but it also reaffirmed that I was moving forward. Maria placed a comforting hand on my back. "Do you want to talk about it?" I shook my head, feeling a mixture of relief and melancholy. "Not right now. Let's just focus on enjoying the rest of the evening." We went back to the event, though the atmosphere had shifted. The encounter with Emma and Michael had left a lingering ache, but it also solidified the fact that I was beginning to find my way through this new chapter. As the night continued, I found solace in the presence of someone who cared for me, and in the small steps I was taking towards rebuilding my life. The evening ended with a mix of bittersweet reflection and tentative hope. It was a reminder that the past could resurface unexpectedly, but it also showed me that I had the strength to face it. The path ahead was still uncertain, but I was learning to navigate it with a renewed sense of purpose and resilience.